What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about Monolith Soft and Xenoblade Chronicles X in addition to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because there are a number of rumors that are swirling around and I wanted to talk about it here on the channel. But before we get into any of that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic here, and I think that is something that a lot of you guys want to talk about because you ask me all the time via social media. And when is Nintendo going to port Xenoblade Chronicles X to the Nintendo Switch? This is one of the most beloved Wii U games. Many people see Xenoblade Chronicles X as the defining Wii U game that showed that the system can do a lot better than what people put out or gave it credit for, what developers said about the system, heck, even Nintendo themselves at times. Monolith Soft proved that the Wii U can be a system that handles large, open, complex worlds and does it looking good and also running good as well overall. So many people have been looking at the Nintendo Switch as the perfect system for a game like Xenoblade Chronicles X, as we've seen multiple open world or open-ended games come to the platform and have success sales-wise and also critically as well. So when will this happen, or will it even happen at all? Well, let's go ahead and break down a few different things. Now, a couple years ago, Monolith Soft did say that it would be difficult to bring that type of game to the Nintendo Switch because of money, funding. That's the biggest problem. Xenoblade Chronicles X was made for the Wii U. It integrated so many things that the Wii U did into its internal functions and just how the game was written, coded, and played. The Wii U gamepad was integral. If your Wii U gamepad didn't work, there's certain things that you couldn't do and you just couldn't progress, even though the game supported a Pro controller. So they have to figure that out first and foremost. Next up, when it comes down to it, Monolith Soft, it's not like these Xenoblade games sell like 5 million copies plus or anything like that. They are more on the lower end, usually selling around 1 million to 2 million with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So I think when it comes to funding, Nintendo and Monolith Soft definitely don't have all of that right there as well. And also you have to look at it, it's a manpower situation too. Monolith Soft has multiple different teams, but many of those teams do just work on auxiliary stuff for Nintendo, whether that's Animal Crossing or the next Legend of Zelda game, but they do have 2 core teams, or at least 1 big core team that is working on the next project. So in order to get a game like Xenoblade Chronicles X going on the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo and Monolith Soft would have to plan first and foremost. It's not something they can just snap their fingers and get a Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Nintendo Switch. They'd have to plan it out thoroughly, or they would have had to have been planning it out thoroughly and make sure that it's funded properly and they get everything going, because the last thing that you want is a game like that not performing well on your new system. So I think those are some of the issues that we're running into right now at this point. But why could it happen, or when will it happen? Well, I think that one, there is all of the Monolith Soft Xenoblade games on the Nintendo Switch. This is pretty much the house of Xenoblade, because you have Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, you have Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torn of the Golden Country, you have Xenoblade Chronicles 2 itself. So you have pretty much all of the Xenoblade games. You're just missing one of them, and of course you'd love to have fans be able to play all of the games. So I'm very hopeful that Monolith Soft and Nintendo know that, and they are preparing a Xenoblade Chronicles X port to the Nintendo Switch. And on top of that, they just got done with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which Monolith Soft admitted themselves was a bit difficult to do. So if that was difficult to do, bringing over that game, obviously with Xenoblade Chronicles X, a game that incorporates online play in addition to many other factors as well, would probably be just as difficult, if not more difficult, to bring over in a certain way, considering the size and scope of the game. But I'm still thinking that Nintendo and Monolith Soft will get that done. So when could we possibly see this Xenoblade Chronicles X port come over to Nintendo Switch? Well, the Game Awards are coming up. Now, there isn't a history of Monolith Soft being at the Game Awards, but I do feel that with the hype of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, they could try to make this push. Nintendo has done this before where they announce, let's say, a port of a game, of a fan favorite game that doesn't necessarily sell the most. For example, Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and then the announcement of Bayonetta 3. That could be the thing here with this. They could announce Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming and then say, hey, here is the first footage of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So I think that's very possible. Now, is it likely? Not so sure, but it is possible that that happens at this year's Game Awards. We also have a Nintendo Direct. There could be a way that Nintendo actually says, hey, let's go ahead and let's put it out there. We're going to show Xenoblade Chronicles 3, or we're going to show Xenoblade Chronicles X, and then lead that into the new Xenoblade. I think that would be the biggest way, not only to hype, of course, Xenoblade Chronicles X coming to the Switch, but also Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because you're going to have two of the most impressive works that Monolith Soft has ever done back to back. So I think that these two games would need to be intertwined. Now, of course, if they just come out with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I'd still be very happy with that based off of some of the rumors that we're hearing that the game is going to look spectacular and that they've been working on it for a while. So I'm not really too worried about that. But at the same time, if they were able to come with both of them somehow, I think that would be a very big boon to the Xenoblade franchise, just as big as they got when they showed off Torna, and of course Xenoblade Chronicles 2 sold as well as it did, the best-selling Xenoblade game of all time, the best-selling Monolith Soft game of all time when it comes to, since they've been independent of Square Enix and Nintendo purchased them. So I feel that this is a huge opportunity for Nintendo to discuss or to finally reveal if they do have it. I think that it's still very possible. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking that it's not possible or it's not going to happen, but I do feel that with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looming, that it definitely will happen at some point, considering that all of the Xenoblade games are going to be on Switch, but somehow, some way, we don't have a Xenoblade Chronicles X, one of the most unique, one of the best Wii U games on the platform. So I think that's going to happen at some point here. It's just a matter of how Nintendo does it and when Nintendo does it compared to if Nintendo will do it. I just think Monolith Soft and Nintendo have to get that done. Now, briefly, let's cover Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, I've been talking about this a little bit more on the channel. If you want a recap of everything when it comes to the rumors and what we do know, what we don't know at this point, which when it comes to what we do know, there's not really much and there's just a lot of rumors, but I've recapped it on the channel. You can check out my previous vids. I'll have some links for you guys in the description as well. But let's talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and how Nintendo goes about this game or it being announced. So essentially the rumors do say that this game has been being worked on for a number of years now. If you look at it, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was completed pretty much in 2017. The game was released in December. There were a number of updates to kind of get a couple things fixed up with the game afterwards leading into 2018. They also had Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torn of the Golden Country, which was not done by the main team. That was done by just basically a smaller, even side team of the side team that was Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So somebody has been working since Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U. The main Takahashi Team 1 has been working to, one, revamp the engine that they do have and kind of input some new things and calculations for the Nintendo Switch, but also, two, a potential new IP or new game. And that's where it essentially splits when it comes to what people are thinking. Some people feel that it's a brand new IP that they're working on and it's not a Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And then some people feel that it's going to be a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or a Xenoblade game. Now, the rumors definitely point more towards a Xenoblade game, but we always have that fantasy game that's in the background that potentially could be being worked on as well. So I'm not really sure what the Takahashi Team 1 is doing, but I'm of the opinion that the Takahashi Team 1, the people that made Xenoblade Chronicles X, the original Xenoblade Chronicles as well, that team within the structure of Monolith Soft, all the different studios, is working on a Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I think that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 being the best-selling Xenoblade game of all time, they have an opportunity with the install base of the Nintendo Switch and the hype and momentum of what they've already done based off of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and, of course, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. If you combine those two games together, you know, that's nearly 4 million units at this point. So if you look at that, I think they're going to go with a Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And I think that once again, this one will be fine-tuned and made for the actual platform that it's on, like Xenoblade Chronicles X was, and why that was so impressive, because it was fine-tuned and made for the platform that it was on. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is essentially what they were doing with the Wii U, and they brought that over to Nintendo Switch. Yes, there's definitely some things obviously they took advantage of when it comes to the Switch platform power, certain things, but I think that that game definitely wasn't them at their 100% with that Takashi Team 1 like they went in with Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's why I feel that this new game, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, is going to be far more impressive than what we saw with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and even Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country, because one, they're going to finish up that engine that they were already implementing and working on with Torna, how they had the updates, and they discussed that in a blog post, I remember. So they're going to finish that. That's all done. Torna's been done for quite some time now. And then of course they're going to have that time and probably more of a budget to get in and kind of take advantage of the Nintendo Switch hardware going into, what are we, year 5 at this point, year 6 with the Nintendo Switch based off of calendar years for Nintendo from 2017. So I do feel that this is going to be an impressive type of game, and we could see it probably at a Nintendo Direct or maybe even the Game Awards. But like I said, I'm kind of wary on the Game Awards just because they haven't really shown off any type of Xenoblade stuff at the Game Awards, although there has been RPGs that are exclusive to Nintendo. Bravely Default 2 was first revealed at the Game Awards. This is not a JRPG, but Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, that was revealed at the Game Awards exclusive to Nintendo Switch as well. So I do feel that it's possible that there could be a big RPG announcement. I've talked about Zelda and Metroid. I mean, really anything is on the table. I think it's really based on just what Nintendo wants to push or what Nintendo wants to make the biggest splash and what they want people talking about at the Game Awards. So we'll see exactly how everything goes down. But either way, and I'm excited to see what goes forward from this. So what are your thoughts when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles X and also Xenoblade Chronicles 3 potentially being shown off sometime soon or in the near future? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.